let me tell you something. Look it, man. I've been an Atlanta fan for 45 years.
Turning up the heat, T-Will on the mic, can't accept defeat. My ATL sports show, he's running the gang. Atlanta Falcons fly high, you know the name. In the heart of the A, where the pride runs deep. From the Braves to the Falcons, he's keeping it real, no sleep. He's got the scoop, every player, every play. Bringing the thunder, every single day. T-Will, shining bright on the airwaves, bringing sports tonight. Atlanta heart, with a soul so free. My ATL sports show is the place to be.
Welcome, ATL sports fans. Welcome, Buffalo Bills sports fans. I got my guys in the building tonight from Between Two Studs. I got Ron and Alex. What's up, guys? How y'all doing tonight?
Fantastic. Excited to be back. Listen, I got to say, since we were here last, production quality has improved. I'm a big fan of that intro.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You might have noticed the two handsome gentlemen that started at the beginning of the video there. I don't know if you noticed. They resemble you guys quite a lot, man. I'm just saying.
I was going to say that was the peak of the video. I mean, it was all good.
You know what? I agree. I agree 100%. So, hey, man, so glad to have you guys back, and so much going on in the world of sports. We got my beloved Falcons against your beloved Bills, and it's going to be very interesting, and I can't wait for the matchup. Falcons lost to the Panthers and had kind of an early identity crisis, and then came back and put the smackdown on the Commanders, although they were without Jaden Daniels, but whatever. You guys faced a tough loss by 3 points against the Patriots. So we both kind of, although you guys are 4-1, so you've kind of been undefeated up until now. Doesn't matter. Alex, Ron, can you kind of tell me the mood in Buffalo this week as you guys approach this game?
Yeah, I mean, I can start and Ron provide color. Here's the tricky thing, Terry. This is our year. It has to be, right? I mean, this is the season where the Ravens, I don't know what happened, but they've gone off the rails.
Yep.
You have the Chiefs, which seem to be pretty mediocre right now. Now I know it's early, it's October, but they're not looking great. And then the dark horse that I thought was going to be a threat this year was going to be the Bengals, and of course Burrow is out till December. So I look at the last 5 years, and I've said the AFC has been the tougher conference, right? And I think this year it's flipped. I think the NFC is much stronger. You have tremendous talent throughout the NFC. And so I think this is the year where the AFC is wide open for the Buffalo Bills. And, Ron and I've been excited. We started out 4-0, right? But there were some teams that we should have destroyed, and we squeaked out. I mean, we got lucky. And so, we lost on Sunday, division rival, Patriots. And I said to Ron immediately after the game, I said, maybe this is the wake-up call the team needs. Maybe they needed the loss. Maybe they were a little too cocky, a little too confident. Josh Allen can't be Superman every game. He just can't be that, He's putting himself in positions where he's putting the team on his back, which means he's putting himself in positions to get injured. And he ends up making throws that he shouldn't have to, which caused the interceptions that he had. And the fumble, by the way. So I think the mood in the room was, at least from my point of view, humbling. We've been beating the Patriots handedly the last few years,
Mhm.
but maybe we needed that. And I think the proof is in the pudding on Monday night. Is will the Bills bounce back, or will they do what the Eagles just did? The Eagles lost a week ago, first loss of the season, and then everyone thought Thursday night would be their bounce back, and they got crushed by the Giants. And so the
Yeah.
question is, will the Bills respond the way I want them to respond, or are they gonna wallow and be like what the Eagles did the other night? I don't know. That's my thoughts. What about you, Ron?
Yeah, I mean, like Alex and I were up in Buffalo 2 weeks ago. We were there for the Saints game, right? And especially know when we're on a Falcons podcast, we can't talk too much about the Saints, but we had a good time there.
Saints stink, and we barely beat them, Ron. Saints stink.
True,
They're the worst
You
but
team.
still beat them. Hey, you still beat them. You still beat them. We appreciate
You're
it.
right.
Yeah. So I mean, I think like the thing is, there's definitely a degree of hope and optimism. I think in Buffalo when we were up there,
Mhm.
where there's something about the season that feels almost like there's some kind of magic. And you don't want to necessarily say it too loudly because you just never know how things go. It's the NFL, right?
Right.
But there's been a number of things that, this small market team has really gotten a lot of national attention in the past. There's a lot of things lining up. You've got Hard Knocks featured Buffalo this year, and I think they did a great job with that. Hallmark actually has a holiday movie that's going to be based on Buffalo, which
What?
yeah, right. It's the final season of their current stadium. They're getting a new stadium next year.
Okay.
And, it just kind of, there's a lot of kind of thinking, almost positive, momentum going on where this might be the final year where we finally get over that hump. And I get it. Like there's always that mentality of, well, there's always next year. There's always next season. I really kind of feel like this feels like it's the season and there's some kind of pulse that I kind of was picking up from people in Buffalo with that. I mean, what did you think, Alex? Did you see that as well?
No, that's exactly right. I think it's everything you just said where it's just like it's destined. 2025 is the year, right? That combined with these other AFC opponents being weak for whatever reason, as I mentioned earlier, those two things together, it's like this is the year. We have to make it. We have to go to the Super Bowl. I think Bills fans are saying it's Super Bowl or bust. I think the expectations are so high that anything short of a Super Bowl appearance. I mean, obviously, I think people would be heartbroken. Anyone to lose, of course, but I think the expectations we have to get over the hump. We have to get through the Chiefs. We have to beat them in the playoffs. I think we want to play the Chiefs. By the way, I think we wouldn't want it any other way. I think we want to play the Chiefs, win, and go to the Super Bowl this year. And I think anything short of that will be considered a massive disappointment, which is crazy to have that level of expectations. But that's the way it is right now. And so I will say this. I think the Falcons are better than most people realize. And I do think there are Bills fans around the league who are saying to themselves, this is our year. And we're just gonna run through this. And we're gonna be that 14-3 team. And I go, well, hold on. I don't know if that's going to happen. It may, but the NFL, I mean, every given Sunday, right? Anything can happen, and so we can't look at any team as a surefire win. And I think that the Saints are the perfect example of that. I mean, the final score looks like we beat them handedly. If you watch that game, the Saints were in it all the way through the end. In fact, if memory serves me correctly, we got lucky because they ran into our punter at the end of the fourth quarter, which gave us a first down, which otherwise would have given them the ball back, and we went down and scored a touchdown from that. And so, and that's I'm sure any Falcon fan will be happy to hear me say this, but they're awful, right? So, I'll tell you right now, Falcons are a lot better than the Saints, and we're playing in Atlanta. So I don't take this game lightly at all.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good game. The thing about the NFL, So my brother and I have this argument every year. I mean, and it is ridiculous, but we're brothers. What are we gonna do? We have this argument every year. At
Mhm.
the beginning of every year, I say to my brother, and at this point, it's really a thing, right? But at the beginning of every year, I say to my brother, "All right, what's our record gonna be?" And he says, "You know what our record's gonna be? It's gonna be 17-0." And I say to him, brother, nobody's been undefeated since 2007. And he says, and then he gets biblical on me. He says, well, speak those things into existence as though they were. And I understand that, but you have fans of other teams who do the same thing. So they kind of cancel each other out, right?
Yeah.
Like if I want to speak it into existence and you want to speak it into existence, we can't all be right. You get what I'm
No.
saying?
I
So
mean,
yeah, I
uh,
tend to deal in probabilities, right?
so related to that, Alex is always really solid about this as far as like whenever we're going through the same lulls that we have over the past few years where we get to the end of the playoffs and the Bills unfortunately don't go on, he always goes on about how, you really only have two teams in the entire league that ever go on to, the Super Bowl, right? And
And only one
that's
team ends the season happy. The
right,
32 NFL teams,
Are gonna be
one
unhappy.
right.
Correct.
one leaves happy.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
statistically, the
Right.
odds are not in your favor.
And that's what I tell him. And it's been an argument. But the point that I make to him is it is so difficult to be at the top of your game every week. You know what I mean?
Yep.
There are going to be weeks like against the Saints. Look, at least you guys got the victory because good teams can win on bad days, right? You can have a bad day. You can go out and be awful on defense. You can go out and be awful on offense. But if you can find a way to win, even in the
That's
midst
right.
of that, to me, those are Super Bowl teams. Because let me tell you something, it's just like a pitcher. You're not going to have your A1 fastball every game. If you pitch 30 times, maybe 22 times, you got your A1 fastball. But there are going to be 8 games where you got to figure it out. Okay, I don't have my
Yeah.
fastball today. What am I going to do? Right? So, just
Now let me say this too, Terry,
mhm,
and this is where I'll disagree with your brother. If the Bills were, let's say they had won against the Patriots the other
mhm,
night, and
mhm,
we were 5-0, and we're having the exact same conversation right now, but
mhm,
we're 5-0.
mhm.
I would say I hope we lose a game
Right.
because I
The
don't
pressure.
want that pressure. Everyone's talking about it. Oh, and by the way, it
Mhm.
also means week 16 and week 17, which by that point the regular season is meaningless
Right.
because the Bills are 15-0 in that scenario, and now Josh Allen is playing those games as if it's a freaking playoff game.
Right.
When
Yeah.
in reality, he needs to be preparing for the playoffs. So
Correct.
I actually think in some ways, having that level of, call it perfection, I'm using those in quotes, I think that actually could be a hindrance and quite a bad distraction. I think, getting a loss or two can actually be a good thing. And hopefully, in the case of the Bills the other day, I hope it's a
Learning.
humbling experience.
Mhm.
I hope it's humbling because I think that the Bills know on paper they have a rock star team. And
Mhm.
I worry when I've watched a couple of these games, and we can get into my thoughts on the coaching right now for Buffalo
Mhm.
Bills.
Oh yeah.
But I
Well,
actually, but I actually worry right now that we've been winning out of sheer just talent, right? That we're not necessarily winning because our coaching team is putting us in a position to be the best team. I think we're winning because we just physically are the better team. And that makes me nervous a little bit. That makes me question what's going on with our coaching staff. Not that I'm in any way calling for Sean McDermott's head. I love that guy.
mhm.
But what I am saying is there's some of these games where I'm going, I think we won because we just are superior talents.
Mhm.
And that is great when in these situations that you're talking about, right? You show up, you had a bad game, whatever. But you can't just win on sheer talent alone when it comes to playoff time.
That's true.
It's based on scheming, based on planning, And I'm a little worried early in the season. I'm not sure we're doing enough of that.
Well, here's what I'll say about that. I agree 100% with what you said, but what resonated out of what you said with me, I don't know that we'll have another team to go undefeated, because let me tell you something about the 72 Dolphins. They didn't have the internet. They didn't have Twitter or X. They didn't have Facebook. They didn't have Instagram. They didn't have 30,000 sports channels and 30,000 news channels. There weren't the distractions that you have today. And if you have a team going into week 16 that's 15-0, I agree with you, Alex. I think it's a problem, because you can't just be like, well, we're going to spit in the face of history. You almost have to play your starters, right? But
That's right.
God help you if something happens. God helps you. So, again, I don't know that we will see another team go undefeated just because of the landscape of today and social media, and sports media and all the coverage and. I agree with
I
that.
think that's a huge piece of it, especially you go back to 1972. I think that's a huge piece. If you go back to 1972, pretty sure up until the 80s or 90s, baseball was still bigger than football anyway.
Yeah.
So you didn't have the attention that these players are getting today. Not only because you didn't have the technology of today, but you just didn't have the demand that the NFL has become, the juggernaut that it has become. The other thing is, and listen, of course, as a Bills fan, I hate the Dolphins, but it was a different era. 14 game season, and you didn't have the same level of. You didn't have a salary cap back then. You didn't have a lot of the things that have created more parity in the NFL, because I think eventually the NFL realized, like, you don't want to have a team that is so much better than every other team.
Everybody.
You want to have more parity. It benefits the league, which benefits the owners. If every game the other team could win, right? So I think there's been enough checks and balances that have been made that have made having one team that much better than everyone else.
Yes.
Much less likely.
I think the other thing too, to kind of add on, is besides like that week 16 piece that like Alex is talking about, you get such a huge target on your team's head, right?
Yes.
Like, I did think it was kind of funny. One of the things that I heard from rumblings from Bills fans is everyone was like, yeah, well, if Diggs played like that when he was in Buffalo, we would have actually gone to the Super Bowl. Because let's be honest, the Patriots did play really well. They were partying like it was a Super Bowl victory. Because they did take out the Bills, and don't get me wrong, sure, there is that recent history of the Bills dominating them, and so I get that. But when anytime you take down an undefeated team, you're willing to probably push yourself to the point of injury just to make a statement because you want your team to look good. Yeah. And that's probably not necessarily the healthiest thing either, because you can think about all the additional injuries that both teams are going to rack up just because somebody wants to make a point.
No, and you're 100% right. So it benefits you guys that you lose. As a matter of fact, it's funny this whole thing comes up because I was having a conversation with some of my peers who podcast with me, and I was like, you know what? I would have rather taken on a 5-0 team. I would have rather taken on a 5-0 team, because if they come in here 5-0, they're probably a little lax, they're probably a little arrogant. They're not going to be expecting the onslaught, but now that they've lost, they're going to rehome, they're going to refocus, they're going to do everything they can. So I
certainly hope so, Terry.
Oh no,
for my sake.
No, but one could argue that after a loss like that, you're going to get a team's best shot, right? Because it's going to force them. That's going to be an unpleasant week. Coach is going to call everybody out that if. Excuse me for saying this, but if you farted on the sideline, you're going to be called out in that meeting. Everything that was done, you're going to be called out. Those practices are going to be unpleasant, and the Falcons are going to feel that going into that Monday night. Now, I think this will be a good game, because I think you got two good teams going at it. But I would have preferred that you guys won, because it probably would have been easier on us because now we're going to get your best shot. But then the other side of that is we'll get your best shot. So the one thing about it, we're going to see where this Falcons team is.
Yeah.
We will know exactly where we are at the end of the next 2 weeks. We got you guys, and then we got to go out to San Francisco. So we'll know where we are. You know what I mean? There'll be no ambiguity about it. Let's talk about coaching. Alex, you brought that up, and you brought up the fact that you guys have been doing it with athletics more so than scheme.
I think so. That's my hot take.
No, agreed. Do you feel like this is something that's germane to this year? Or do you think that this has been something that has, been a trait of this Buffalo team the past 3 or 4 years?
It's a good question. I'll tell you, I think you ask any knowledgeable Bills fan, and they'll say our defense has not stepped up to the plate when it is needed to. The reason we have lost in the playoffs the last how many number of years is because when the push came to shove, the defense fell apart. And by the way, everyone, you can throw out, well, there were injuries, there were this, there were that. Sure. But every team goes through that. It's how you plan and scheme, especially when we're playing the same teams every year. It's not like we're playing different teams. It's always the Chiefs, I think, and by the way, Sean McDermott, who I love, by no means am I saying we need to fire him or anything like that.
Right.
But his expertise is defense, and specifically the secondary. And, he's always had this bend but don't break mentality. Mm-hmm. And what I'm saying is when the time is most important, we've seen it break. And that's when the pressure gets put on Josh Allen to have to put up 40 points every game. Mm-hmm. And I just that's an unrealistic expectation to put that level of burden on the quarterback. And then you get mad at Josh Allen and say, why did he throw that pass? He had to because his defense wasn't doing anything.
Yep.
So I've had concerns about the defense, specifically in important games for a while. And then even on offense, Joe Brady is our offensive coordinator. And right now, everyone's saying, oh, he's going to be the next head coach for somebody. And it'll be interesting because everyone said the same thing about the Bills offensive coordinator before him, Brian Dable. Brian Dable's about to get fired. So there's a question where you go, I'm not saying Brian Dable or Joe Brady are bad coaches, but what I am saying is, are they a product of how good Josh Allen is? That's the exact same thing, by the way, that happened with the Patriots during the Tom Brady era. They kept promoting their offensive coordinators. They kept getting head coaching jobs all around the league, and they kept falling on their asses and getting fired. And people went, I don't understand. Maybe it's because you just have a once-in-a-generation quarterback who can make any coordinator look good. Mm-hmm. So I have concerns on both sides of the ball, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I think that is I'm sorry, Ron. Go ahead, sir.
I'd largely echo what Alex said. I mean, I think that what's a challenge, right, has been, I think that there was some level of, on the offensive side, Dable, I think, did a lot of work to really get Allen to where he is today, right? Mm-hmm. But the problem that anybody who came even after Dable is how much of it is just related to the work that Dable did versus Allen did. And then, even now we've seen that Allen is a freak. The amount of points that the Bills score per game, it's very high, but the problem there too is look at how many points are also scored against us with our defense. And I think that's kind of, Alex has put it best, where there's too much of the relying on Josh to, put on his Superman cape and go out there and do ridiculous things, which, it makes for a fun and entertaining game, but that's not something that he can realistically do long-term either. There is some level of where's the strategy we're doing on the defensive side. And then on the offensive side too, I did hear, and I feel like I've seen more criticism, I think, levied at Brady this year as far as what are we doing that as far as the reps that you're putting out there, the plays that we're playing, where's the originality as far as making the correct surgical precision play calling that's needed against these different teams? Because it feels like we're kind of getting into a rhythm that is very predictable, and that's kind of the problem that I think you can really run into, especially when you do have good talent, where you just say, well, this realistically has good odds of working, but you really need to kind of meet the teams that you're playing to.
Well, Ron, I mean, listen, I love Dable. He's a Buffalo boy, by the way. Just coincidentally, he was offensive coordinator, and he's a Buffalo guy. But people said, oh, he's the one who made Josh Allen. He's a quarterback whisperer. What did he do with Daniel Jones in New York?
Not so much.
He didn't do anything. Right. Now, Dart could be really good. I don't know. Maybe that saves Dable's career. And in 5 years from now, I'll watch this recording and go, I was wrong. But what I am saying is, I don't know how great these coordinators actually are versus just how talented Josh Allen is. And that was the exact same sentiment with Tom Brady. He just was so good. He could make anyone look good. And, I look right now at the Bills offense, and we are very fortunate to have Josh Allen and James Cook, which, by the way, I'll eat crow, Terry. I said, don't pay that man what he wants. I said we can't be paying a quarterback $55 million a year and paying a running back. He wanted $15 million a year. We settled on 12. But I said you can't tie up that much of your team on those two positions, which philosophically I agree with. I still agree with that sentiment. But James Cook has looked really, really good.
He's been great.
He's been worth every penny. But what I am saying is, okay, you got Josh Allen, you got James Cook. You're already on easy mode as an offensive play caller, right? And you got incredible talent.
Yeah. So, guys, you touched on something, and we see this with a lot of offensive coordinators. But just because you can run an offense, right, that does not mean that you can lead men and be a head coach, because those are two totally different roles. Yes. And I think that is another pillar that people often discount when they say, oh, he was a great offensive coordinator. That doesn't mean that he's going to be a great head coach, because, and you guys said it best. Look at this guy could be great. Why? Because he's got one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. I mean, let's be honest. Let's look at Bill Belichick, right? Mm-hmm. And no disrespect to Belichick. I did not want Belichick in Atlanta. I didn't want him anywhere near us. And I'll tell you why. Because when Brady left, that program was run into the ground. Nobody wanted to work for him. It got to the point his family was working for him. Why? Because nobody else wanted to work for him. So what that tells me, he's a curmudgeon on camera and a curmudgeon off camera. He doesn't share information. He's a very good system guy, right? But he doesn't develop leaders. Why? Because everybody who's been groomed under him, with the exception of Vrabel, has failed. Everyone.
Yep.
Right?
That's
so
true.
What's that tell
and even Vrabel, the jury's still out. I mean, he got fired in Tennessee.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. But what's that tell you? Well, that tells you whatever the secret sauce is, he's hoarding it. Right.
Well, and meanwhile, flip that and talk about Andy Reid's pedigree.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Right.
Look at how many head coaches have come from the Andy Reid system. Right.
That have excelled.
Yes.
But that is because Andy is a leader of men and a developer of leaders. Number one, to be a head coach, they're tiers, right? Mm-hmm. You got the guys who can just coach and get the most out of men, right? My father always used to say a good coach, not a great one, but a good coach can take his team and beat your team, and then turn around and take your team and beat his team, because he understands what it takes to get the most out of men to win. But there's another level in that some coaches are so good that they can develop leaders under them, like the Bill Walshes, like the Andy Reids, like who's the other one I'm thinking about in between Walsh and Anyway, whatever. There's some men that are just they can develop leaders, and then there are others who never get out the gate who are just system guys, right? That maybe they got a Hall of Famer, right? So because the more I look at Bill Belichick, you know what I see? Tom Brady. If
Yeah.
we're being
Well, I
honest,
know.
Well,
His
and that's where
his legacy is forever tainted for that reason.
it's Tom
People,
Brady.
I lived in Boston between 2014 and 2017. Right? So you know when they were still, I think they won 2 or 3 Super Bowls during that couple of years
Yeah.
that I was there.
Yeah.
And everyone said, "Is it Tom Brady or is it Belichick?
Mm-hmm.
You know, who's the real genius?" And at the time, I said, "I think it's Belichick."
Mm-hmm.
Well, clearly, I was wrong, and I think a lot of people around the country were. The best thing would have been for them to leave together, and it didn't because I think egos got in the way.
Mm-hmm.
But Belichick there'll always be an asterisk next to his name, right? In terms of incredible, the amount of Super Bowl rings, the number of Coach of the Year, all the good stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they'll always say, "Yeah, but what would you have done without Tom Brady?"
Yeah,
And I think he even made it even worse with this whole UNC fiasco.
yeah, it's
going on right
but
now.
he has no business around kids because again, there comes a certain point unless you're just Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll, where you just have this fountain of youth.
Yeah.
70-year-old men have no business around
no.
because you can't relate. They can't relate to you, and you can't relate to them. And I could have told you how that was going to turn out. But, you know, bottom line is, and well, I'll give Belichick this. Belichick did win 2 rings as the Giants defense coordinator. What I will say is Belichick is probably the best defensive mind that I've seen. I will give him that. But even that does not make a head coach, especially in today's NFL, because the job is so much more inclusive than it was 20 years ago or even 10 years ago, right? Because you got to do FaceTime with this entity, that entity. You got to be called out on the carpet for this or that. There's so much more to it that you just can't be a guy that, you know what, I just want to read a sheet. No. So
No.
it's different, guys. It is different, but hey.
Well, and Terry, I think that same analogy can be used in any profession. You know, we live in a world where if you're a really good salesperson,
Mm-hmm.
people go, "Oh, well, then you should be the sales director." Those are
Right.
2 fundamentally totally different skills.
Correct.
And I have worked with people who are really good salespeople who are
Mhm.
terrible managers. And by the way, I've seen the opposite work too. People who are middle of the road, average salespeople, but had the development, the organizational skills, the just the overall ability to coach and lead and manage a really successful team.
Mhm.
They're totally different skills,
Mhm.
And then go a step further. And this is where I'm going to bring it back to the Buffalo Bills. There's totally different skills when it comes to good head coaches too.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mhm.
Because Sean McDermott, the coach of the Buffalo Bills, I will always be thankful for it. He took the Buffalo Bills, which were a dumpster fire. They were a dumpster fire when he took over. I mean, we had gone through how many coaches, a 17-year playoff drought. It was awful. It was an embarrassment. It was like the Cleveland Browns, right? And or the New York Jets now, right? And he took us from dumpster fire into we expect the playoffs every year.
Yeah.
Now, the skills to take a dumpster fire team and get them to the playoffs is one set of skill. It's
Mhm.
incredible skill.
Mhm.
The question that
I see where you're going.
the
Go ahead.
question that a lot of Bills Mafia have
Mm-hmm.
is the skill to get to contender.
Mm-hmm.
Does he also have the skill to take contender and go all the rest of the way, which is Super Bowl winner?
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a lot of Bills fans who are saying, In no way am I saying McDermott's a bad coach. He has
Mhm.
done more for the Buffalo Bills organization than probably almost anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But can he get us all the way over the hump? And the jury's out. I mean, I want to say he will be that guy, but it's the same thing. I've met people who are really good. Go back to business terms.
Mm-hmm.
CEOs that are really good for taking a company from nothing and bringing them to $100 million. Incredible feat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then the question is,
can you
probably not can you really grow the next? There's very few CEOs that have done it, that have gone from all the way through. More often than not, founders, CEOs of companies, at a certain point they have to let their baby go to somebody else, because that somebody else is going to be the person to make it
It's that next level.
Next level. And so to be able to take a dumpster fire and go all the way to the Super Bowl win, I hope Sean McDermott can do it. But I think there are questions. People are saying, I'm always going to be thankful for that guy, but can he get us the Super
So
Bowl?
let me throw maybe one more wrinkle into this conversation, right? Because certainly the head coaches play a huge part, and we are talking about people leadership. But think about the quarterbacks too, and the way that quarterbacks kind of lead the team as well, right? Because like we've seen what happened with the Jets with Aaron Rodgers, right? Where a lot of things didn't work well in New York. I'm not sure how much of it was on Aaron Rodgers or how much of it was on the Jets' leadership. But how much too, like in Buffalo's case, is that you have a likable quarterback who is a good people leader of his team, right? And that's like one of those skill sets that you can't necessarily judge very early on, especially when you're looking at drafting a player, right? And so I do kind of wonder too, how much of that is also a factor. I mean, certainly like in the case of the Patriots with Tom Brady certainly was able to pull people together and get the team, to kind of get to that next level. And some of that just is one of those weird talents and traits that is very difficult to track down too. And how much of it is the head coach paired with the right quarterback gets you where you need to go because they can complement each other.
Man, I'd love it when you guys are, because you bring up situations, but you're dead on. So I'm gonna speak to both examples. One, Alex, to yours. That is 100% true. All you have to do is look at the 2002 Tampa Bay Bucks, right? Because Tony Dungy got them to that point, but he couldn't get them over the hump. Just for whatever reason, couldn't do it. And they called in John Gruden, and the very year they called him in, guess what? They won, because sometimes you just need a different voice, right? Sometimes it being human nature, you just need a different voice. Then guess what? Tony Dungy goes up to Indianapolis and he gets one with Peyton, right? But
It took him a while.
It did take him a while.
He took a dumpster fire and brought them to. I mean, they were consistently good for how many years? I mean, it was awesome. It was awesome to see.
Right.
It's just a different set of skills. And the name that I think of, not to interrupt you, but the name I always think about is the perfect example of this, is Marty Schottenheimer. He was a builder.
Yeah.
You look at a lot of people forget about him because he's somebody that he didn't win the championship. So people, unfortunately, live in a world where if you didn't win the championships, people forget your name.
And that's
you look at him.
That's
But you look at his pedigree and how many franchises he brought. He came in, dumpster fires, and brought him to respectability. But here's the thing: I'm 95% certain of this. He never won a Super Bowl. He never was able to do it. And so Marty Schottenheimer, to me, one of the best head coaches of all time, but he was a builder. And there's a totally different skill set between dumpster fire to competence. And then here's my hypothesis, and you just mentioned it with John Gruden. Are there people who are really good at taking competent and getting across the finish line?
Yes.
And by the way, those same people probably would be terrible if they were forced to start with a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's almost interesting. It's like in some cases, you almost need two separate head coaches.
That's where I was going. That's exactly where I was going. That's exactly where I was going. Yeah, because so you got to look at John Gruden and then look at Phil Jackson, right?
Mhm.
Phil Jackson goes out, did what he did with Chicago. Only Phil Jackson could have, because again, Dennis Rodman, and no disrespect to Dennis Rodman, but that is an extreme personality, right? So to be
Yes.
able to manage that, and Michael Jordan, who, not that Michael hated Dennis, but demographically, they weren't even in the same country. So to get these guys to be able to play together and work together, and Scottie Pippen, that's something. Then to go out west and have Shaq and Kobe, when Shaq and Kobe weren't necessarily getting along, and get 3 championships out of that, that is something. And to Ron's point, there are quarterbacks that can go into a team and rally and get them together. To your point about Aaron Rodgers, I think the difference between the Jets and the Steelers is the Steelers locker room.
Mm.
Because
Yes.
the Steelers have leaders. They got leaders in there. So, guys, if the coach has to handle issues in a locker room, you got a losing team. Your leaders on your team should police that locker room. You shouldn't have to say anything. You should have enough leadership on your team to where if something goes down, they got it, right? And that's the difference. That's why you can take an Aaron Rodgers and put him in Pittsburgh and he can win there. Aaron is not necessarily a leader. Let me tell you something. Aaron loves Aaron. Okay?
Yeah.
Aaron loves him some Aaron. Okay? I don't know what else he loves, but I know he loves him. Now he can still play.
Ayahuasca.
Yeah, I was going to say.
There you go. There you go. First ballot Hall of Famer. But if you put him in a situation where he's around other leaders, he can flourish. But guys, let's get back to the issue at hand. We got Falcons, we got Bills. Guys, and Ron, let's start with you. Tell me what you guys need to do to win this game, and do it on offense and defense. Tell me what you got to do to win the game. And then Alex, I'm gonna throw out some questions to you, but go ahead, Ron.
All right. So to Alex's point, I think we need to take stock of this past loss that we had with the Patriots. Really start to think about what are the things that were not done right so that we're showing up really with all cylinders firing. I think one of the challenges that you can have as a winning team is you can sort of look past some of your flaws because you can say, well, yeah, but we still won. And that doesn't help you get better, especially in the NFL where every week, you can see a lot of things can happen. So I think that our offense needs to come in, show up, be looking great. Defense also needs to really up itself. I think that hopefully there was a number of things that we looked at where team's going to come back. I know that one of the challenges with the Bills right now is we've got a lot of players that are not healthy. So hopefully we can get some of those players maybe back in time. I mean, we're recording this tonight, Saturday, so not sure how much is going to change as far as the roster, but I think the big things is you can't underestimate the Falcons. Going to have to come in, play your A game, and I think that that's going to be the real key, not to make any mistakes and not to really let that loss throw off our psyche. The Falcons are going to play a hard game. It's going to be a good game, and you just can't let up if you're the Bills.
That's correct. I agree with everything you said, Ron. What do you guys have to do specifically to win the game Monday night?
To me, it's very easy. Buffalo Bills. So let me say this: the Buffalo Bills have to have more than 300 yards of total offense. Which, by the way, Terry, I'm sure you know this. The Atlanta Falcons are the only team in the NFL that have held every single opponent this season below 300 yards.
I love it. I love it.
Your defense is solid.
Yeah, and it's been a while. You can say that. In my life, other than 77, which I was 7 years old with the Grits Blitz, I've never been able to say that. But anyway, go ahead. I don't mean to cut you off.
No. But I'm saying it to you right now. If we Tuesday, if that is still true, where the Falcons are still the only team in the NFL that has held every opponent to less than 300 total yards of offense, that means the Atlanta Falcons won Monday Night Football. If they go, that they no longer hold that esteemed title, then I believe the Buffalo Bills will win the game.
Okay. All right. That's fair.
Oh, one more thing.
Yep.
Bills need to not score nearly as well, not take on as many penalties as they did against the Patriots. That was horrible. That was sloppy, and they know it. But you got to call that out.
Hard fought game. I think what the Falcons have to do is, number one, we got to be able to run the ball, because we gotta keep Josh Allen off the field. Look, Josh Allen is going
is Ed Oliver do we know, is Ed Oliver out for Monday night?
I don't know.
I thought so.
Good question.
If he is out, Terry, you will be able to run all over us. No worries. He is a beast up front. So yeah, I don't know what the gambling sports bettors are saying, but whatever the over/under is on rushing yards for the Falcons, if Ed Oliver is out, it's going to be over.
So thanks to Google, so he was limited participant in practice with an ankle injury, but is hopeful to return for Monday night.
Yeah.
For the Bills' sake, he needs to play. He's our best. Yeah. I think he's the best. I think he's the best player on the Bills' defense.
Okay.
Best player. So if he's not playing, you'll run all over us. I'm not worried about that for you guys at all.
Hey, look, you guys got a great team, man. We'll see. But in order for the Falcons to have a chance, we got to. So the one thing about these two teams, they both possess the ball well. I think you guys are averaging 34 minutes a game. We're averaging 33 minutes a game. Something's got to give. In my opinion, if we're going to win this game, we got to win the time of possession. We got to hold the ball. We got to be able to run it, keep Josh Allen off the field. And we cannot let Josh Allen get loose. And first and foremost, you have to stop James Cook. If you stop James Cook, you're probably not running the ball well. But when you're in passing situations, in my humble opinion, you're going to have to be in zone. I do not want my quarterbacks with their back turned to Josh Allen, big 6'5" frame, because if he gets loose, it's a problem. And the more he runs and the more he gets loose, it's like he gets better and he gets into the game and he gets energized, and we can't have that. So job number one is when we're on defense, we got to stop your running back. But secondly, we got to keep Josh Allen in that pocket. Now, can we do it? I mean, that's why they play the game. We'll see. But, in my humble opinion, that is what we have to do. Let's talk about, guys, where you ultimately, if things go right, right, and you obviously make the playoffs and you're the number one seed, what is the ideal opponent? I don't want to say maze, but I guess the opponent gauntlet that you'd want to face to get to the Super Bowl.
We have to play the Chiefs. We have to, Terry. It's destiny. They beat us so many times. But we gotta beat them. We have to beat them. I get your point. What you're saying is you could script it out. Who you playing against? Based on how you're set up as an organization. Who would be your ideal opponent? I don't know if I have a great answer for you because it's still early in the season, but I'm saying I want to play the Chiefs. Because if we can't beat the Chiefs, we don't deserve to go to the Super Bowl. We have to show that we can.
That's fair.
But I'll say this. I don't know if this answers your question, but I have a lot of concerns about our secondary right now. Good teams with really good quarterbacks scare me a lot. And I think in terms of offensive opportunities for the Bills, they need to get James Cook involved more in the passing game. He's a great running back, but they need to be doing more of these like out and 5-10 yard little ditch passes, because once he gets in the open field, he can go all the way.
Yeah, he's very shifty.
And I would say right now, when I'm watching the games, I'm saying, why are you not getting James Cook in the passing game? I don't understand.
Yeah, it seems like we use them too much for kind of up at the center routes, which yeah, when he gets through and he's running well, it's great, but it becomes a little bit predictable. And I'm not sure how much of that might just be. Is it just entirely play calling, or is there maybe just an issue with connecting with them on the pass
He's
game?
staying
Right?
in the backfield. He's staying in the backfield.
Yeah.
It's play calling. I'm saying, Joe Brady, if you're listening, get him out. Give him some dunking, some dunk passes. Because once he catches that ball, anything can happen.
Well, and here's an old school reference, but yeah, I kind of feel like with the Bills, at least this season, we're kind of like you remember the old game NBA Jam, right? When players would get on fire. If we can somehow manage to get on fire in the third quarter, between Josh Allen and James Cook, like the scoreboard just starts lighting up like it's Christmas, right?
Yeah.
So that I think that's another maybe call to the game too, but it's going to be trying to contain those players and preventing them from really making something and getting any kind of momentum.
Definitely.
I'll say this: the more Josh Allen has to throw, the more that means we're in desperation mode because our defense isn't doing its job.
Yeah.
So I would say if Josh Allen is throwing more than, pick a number, more than 35 or 40 passes, that means we're in desperation mode, and that means he has to go into superhero mode. And sometimes it works out. In fact, it works out more often than it doesn't because he's Josh Allen. But that is not healthy. Like we should. That's not the ideal situation that you want to be in as a Bills fan.
Yeah, it's probably difficult to sustain, but like you say, I mean, I think the one thing about you guys' team is that you guys have been through the wars, and so there's a confidence that comes with that when you played and you've seen just about everything. And
That is true.
I think that that this may be your year to at least advance to the Super Bowl. I mean, anything can happen, but I would see, right now, I gotta say you guys are the class of the league. So we're up against it. I know we had a certain
class of the AFC.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Because I do mean that, and I know we're wrapping up, but I do mean that, Terry, is the NFC is the better conference this year. You have and I know we between Detroit, between the Bucks, between the Eagles, there is so much good teams.
It's a long
and Falcons are no scruff either. So I think the NFC is going to be a harder. I think if the Falcons get into the playoffs, that's going to be. I mean, the NFC playoffs is going to be a suicide match. I mean, every game. I think the NFC is going to be more interesting this playoff season than the AFC.
I think the NFC will be more interesting, but again, the season is still young. So much can happen. So it's to this point, it's been the Eagles, and in the NFC, and it's been Buffalo. Looking at the Eagles, I don't know if you can say them. I don't know what's going on with them, but I can't say that they're the class of the league. Detroit looks pretty good. Tampa Bay has kind of been,
You know the difference between the Eagles and the Bills? There's just one difference. The difference is Josh Allen is capable of putting the entire team on his back.
Right.
I'm not saying he should do that. I'm not saying he should, but he can.
Right.
Jalen Hurts is a great quarterback. I don't think he can put an entire team on his back. That's the difference.
Yeah. And that's fair. That's fair. But guys, let's have some score predictions. So, Alex, what say you, sir?
I think it's going to be close. I'm hoping it's somewhat low scoring because that would tell me that there was some good defense. I'm going 24-20 Buffalo.
Gotcha. Ron, what say you?
I'm going to say 27-21 Buffalo.
Gotcha. All right. I'm going to say 28-24 Falcons, obviously. So, hey, guys, you know what? This has been fun. and we got to do this again. As always, to those of you who watch this recording, these gentlemen gave me my first chance in podcasting. I did the first show with them, so they will always be on my show because I have an affinity. I got a love for them. Guys,
we do too. We love you too, Terry.
Absolutely.
And you know what? I would love. Let's hope both of our teams get into the playoffs.
Ooh,
and then
we'll come back and do it again. There you go. There you go. And we didn't get a chance to talk about the Doinks, but we're up against it. But we'll talk about that next time. So, Alex, Ron, tell these folks where they can find you and tell them about you guys' show.
Yeah. So we're co-hosts of Between Two Studs. It's a great podcast. You can find it on all the usual platforms. Honestly, we've taken a little bit of a hiatus. It's been a little while since we've recorded, but we've got a lot going on in our lives. And so I'm hoping at some point we can get back to recording again soon, but we've got a ton of great episodes, including yours, where you came on it. So be sure to check us out there.
Pretty good library. We talk about,
everything,
wide range of topics. Yeah. We really focus on bringing on guests of all different backgrounds and different interests, and you never know where it's going to wind up, which is what makes it kind of fun.
Yeah. Guys, they have a great show. And it's sports, it's movies, it's everything. Anything you think of, you want to talk about, they got. But you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't check them out. So again, the show is Between Two Studs. I know that you guys are on Apple or what is
iTunes.
iTunes.
Well, and even especially too, we've got a lot of Atlanta listeners, right?
Yep.
So one of our most noteworthy guests were two ladies from the Claremont Lounge, Blondie and Cassie.
Yeah.
Yep.
Blondie, and we filmed that episode from the Claremont Lounge live.
Right.
So.
Awesome. Okay.
So yeah. So there you go. Perfect episode also to see after you've watched Terry's episode too.
Hey, guys, again, as always, thank you. I hope we see a good game. I hope we both make the playoffs. And if so, you guys know you're welcome to come back anytime on my show. To everybody who watches this, thank you. Want to thank God for waking me up this morning, sending these gentlemen in my path. To Mr. Jack Spade and Mr. Eric Parker, who gave me my start in this business, thank you. And to you guys who gave me my first podcast opportunity, thank you. To everyone out there, have a great day. Hopefully Georgia can figure it out. They're getting their rear ends kicked by Auburn right about now. And hey, since my Braves aren't in it, good luck to your Cubbies.
Hey, now they're down 2-1. Let's hope they make it through. I love playoff baseball. I don't watch regular season a whole lot, but playoff baseball, there's nothing like it.
Awesome. Well, hey, hopefully your Cubbies can come back. You guys have a great day. Thank you to everyone who watches this. Goodbye, everybody.
Let me tell you something. Look it, man. I've been an Atlanta fan for 45 years.
Turning up the heat, T-Will on the mic, can't accept defeat. My ATL sports show, he's running the game. Atlanta Falcons fly high, you know the name. In the heart of the A, where the pride runs deep. From the Braves to the Falcons, he's keeping it real, no sleep. He's got the scoop, every player, every play. Bringing the thunder every single day. T-Will, T-Will.